Yo, yo, hello, welcome to the weekly news roundup. How we doing today, everybody? What is going on? Been a busy week, been a lot of news, been a lot of stories, been a lot of conflicting information, which we will talk about in the weekly roundup today. For sure, we will. I'm not sure exactly what to make of some of it, but some good, some bad, some confusing, as you would expect as we move into this part of the window. And you have to remember something. I want to say something that people maybe are forgetting, something that's true, something you may not realize. Prior to the summer tour, very few people were getting any kind of reports, any kind of information, any kind of news at all. Nothing was coming out of United, and people were thinking that nothing was happening because it was very quiet. Now that the summer tour is back over, we've almost resumed that. There's a lot of little stories, but a lot of people in the dark once again, as you don't have that proximity of the summer tour, of people meeting with people every day, of constant interviews and things like that. So it makes it a little harder to sort through the noise and figure out what's actually going on. And there's a lot of people kind of trying to figure that out right now. So we're going to get into all the news from the week, rapid fire. This is not a too long of a show. I try to keep this moving pretty quick and run through everything here. And again, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can come join over on Big Up. That's what we'll be doing the watch alongs through the year. Lots of fun and other really exciting shows throughout the year as well, including our reviews where we can actually watch replays of the game. Those cannot be posted on YouTube, but will be over on Big Up. So come join if you're watching us on YouTube. And for those of you on Big Up, it's good to see you again. Welcome back. We're going to be spending quite a bit more time here, and there are plenty of upgrades coming to this platform in the immediate future. So, are we ready? Let's get into the news, and let's start with the beginning of the week. Let me get my tabs, everything all set up the way I want to set it up real quick here. How did I do this? Floating? There we go. Let me make sure I've got one tab open just to check and make sure everything looks the way that it's supposed to look. Let's see, jump to live, and yes. Can you see the screen share? Yes, you can. All right, we're good. So let's get right into it. First, of course, at the start of the week, we got Mr. Benjamin Sesko officially signing for Manchester United, confirmed. All the pictures, all the things, all of that. United have their new striker in the door, and obviously, as of today, I'm not going to go through all the press conference quotes in this video. He's ready to go. Physically, which was the important part, he's ready to go. According to Ruben Amorim, he's fit and he's ready. But obviously, Sesko wanted only United, chose United, announced by United, got our striker in the door. By the way, I don't know if you know this. Well, you probably do. But if you look at how the signings since Ineos have come in, we've got a striker, a 10, a left wing, a right wing, kind of right 10. Let's see. That's 3 different positions. A midfielder, 2 center backs, a left wing back, a right back technically, and what am I missing? Another center back. And that's it? I think that's it. So we're only missing a midfielder and a goalkeeper to have signed the 11 for a full team. And amusingly, a midfielder and a goalkeeper are the next 2 things we will sign between now and next season. Another midfielder and another goalkeeper. Because we've signed essentially a 3 at the back, starting 11, if you think about it, which is kind of wild in terms of just all the positions. So pretty quick turnover in 3 windows. Hopefully we can get the midfielder done as well, but we'll talk about that. But I think that that's pretty impressive, having gone through essentially signing the entire team. So we got Sesko. So now let's move to the next one. So obviously, this is an ongoing one. Start of the week, we got more of the news about AC Milan being interested in a Rasmus Hojlund transfer and United being open to a loan, that there is some kind of deal here in place. Given that Sesko has come in, this is pushing Rasmus Hojlund out the door. Obviously, he did not play at the weekend, at all in the last final game of the season, of the preseason, I should say. And when we look at the squad for this coming week, there's a serious chance that Rasmus Hojlund may even not be in the squad. We don't know, but it's possible. And that would, of course, also be a clear sign to Rasmus Hojlund. It's time to go. It's time to move. Now, he's not been, as of the start of the week, he was pretty closed off. He was pretty closed off to a move away, but that has been evolving as the week has gone on. So one to kind of watch there. The other sale that's been evolving as the week has gone on is the one of Alejandro Garnacho and Chelsea, with Fabrizio stating earlier in the week, this was on the 11th, so that was Monday. Chelsea step-up talks for Alejandro Garnacho. Club-to-club discussions with Man United are now well underway. Garnacho only wants Chelsea. Personal terms are agreed, and two clubs are in negotiation over a fee. Garnacho expected to become a Chelsea player this summer. Well, Garnacho is certainly one who won't be in the squad and is not training with the team this weekend. Don't you love being an American? Look at the trending topics in the United States. Just beautiful. Wonderful stuff. Anyway, Garnacho will be will end up at Chelsea. Now, there's a little bit kind of some soft updates through the week, but we'll get to that towards the end here. So that was the kind of next one that came back. Now, there was some rumor and some talk that popped up early in the week about Donnarumma. Now, I can tell you for certain that while United had checked out the situation on Donnarumma, I had always shared my information that the costs were deemed very high, that he was going to have to even be considered for United, he'd have to accept significantly lower wages. The costs would have to come way down, and that it was something United were unlikely to do while Onana was still there. Without a sale of a keeper. This week, essentially, that got fully killed off. There was a kind of a bit of a brief that went out. Simon Stone, strong pushback from Old Trafford against link with Donnarumma. Goalkeeper, not a priority for Man United. Unfortunately, the fact remains, as it has since I first heard it on the start of the tour, that a goalkeeper was becoming less and less likely, and they needed a sale. And so far, we have no sale. And so we kind of got to the point, settled this week with everybody. There will be no goalkeeper brought in this summer without a departure, and there is nothing imminent on the departure front at this point in time. So the goalkeeper may be something we have to put off until later. Even today, not going to put it on this video and share it. A couple clubs now coming in for Lamens that aren't United, and so he could end up taking that move elsewhere, because if they were to sign a keeper, he would likely be the one. Now, if we miss out on other signings and have extra money, would we go for him? There's a chance. But for now, that's not what the plan is. So there we go. No Donnarumma. In fact, it looks like he might be headed in the end to Man City. Then the Hojlund situation continues to advance. AC Milan keep advancing on Rasmus Hojlund deal with Man United. Talks ongoing on player side as discussed the project as Hojlund is opening doors to AC Milan. So at the start of the week, he was fully not in. He was closed off on taking a move away from United, on joining Milan or elsewhere. But as the week has progressed, he has continued to open those doors to leaving. This is actually a pretty decent deal for us. I know some people would prefer it to be a straight sale, but a $6 million loan fee with a $45 million buy option and salary cover, it's pretty good. It would save United somewhere in the range of 12 million euros, 10 million pounds right now, and that would be quite helpful. And then in addition, of course, with the buy option, if he has a good season and we get 45 million euros next summer, that would be more than his amortization. So we'd save an enormous amount of money and turn a little bit of a profit. So I'm quite for this move. This one seems to be still the main potential move for Rasmus Hojlund this summer, and has continued to advance in the days that have followed. Then we got a little bit more news on Garnacho and Chelsea from Darmasheth. Manchester United are expecting Chelsea to make a formal offer for Alejandro Garnacho. They value Garnacho at 50, while Chelsea believe they can sign him for significantly less. He's insisted players can be reintegrated if United don't get a deal that's right for them. Now, I'm going to tell you the truth, as I've said before. Don't think that's going to happen. Okay, don't think that's going to happen. But yeah, regardless, that's the play. And I'll have a little bit more on Garnacho towards the end here on some little updates that I had yesterday. And then there was a story in here, and I want to be smart about sharing it without, like, I'm not trying to share the entire Athletic piece on this. But yeah, look, here's the thing, right? Basically, bit of words, badge, bravery, spirit, Manchester United's message to staff before now or never season begins. There will be an app for iPhone, Andy, like any day, literally any day. The app will be out and it'll be much easier to watch it. Okay. It'll be much easier to watch it. That app is coming in like literally at any moment. I had a conversation with them this week. That's coming at any moment. So that should help the use of this. But anyways, there was this, but within here as well, in this now or never season, which is why we seem to be going kind of all out on certain things. There was also a mention, there you go, there's Argent to let you know app coming out in the next few days. There you go. So there was also within this article, statements of 3 big sponsorships worth about 70 million. We've actually seen 2 of those announced, Coca-Cola and a processing company, money processor. So there's one more still unannounced to come. And that's obviously a good thing. And that was one of the things in the news there. But 3 sponsorships, three, depending on where you're from. Anyway, so yeah, 3 sponsorships coming. Then oops, hit the wrong button. That's okay. We'll get it back up. All right, then there was this. Toby Collier in advanced talks to join West Bromwich Albion on season-long loan. This has been completed like 10 minutes ago. Host of championship clubs registered interest, but Manchester United midfielders chosen West Bromwich Albion under Ryan Mason. Now, this is interesting because Kone didn't get any minutes on the tour and has a pretty significant, unfortunate injury at this point in time. So this leaves United with really just the 4 midfielders, which is not bad. 4 for 2 positions is fine. But clearly this is opening up a little bit of space for the potential of a midfielder coming in. Obviously, Baleba being the one we're all focused on at the moment. But it does leave us a little bit. Now, it's 1 game a week, and that's part of it too. Bear in mind, 1 game a week, 4 is enough for the midfield. It is enough for the midfield, but certainly it says, yeah, Toby Collier is not an option. And to be fair, one thing this does, no matter what you think about Manuel Ugarte, no matter what you think about him, it does leave us quite short in terms of having a player of Ugarte's, I don't know what you would call it, like combativeness. Because Casemiro is certainly very different at this stage in his career, and so is Kobbie Mainoo. And Mainoo Mainoo's not always been fit. But it's also like Casemiro is very different. He's slower, a bit more a different way at this stage in his career. Ugarte is the only guy who can actually get around with some energy. Collier could provide that too, even though he's not been like an exceptional player. Gets around covering a lot of spaces. There's nobody else to do it. And that's not a good thing as well. So we certainly need a midfielder, ideally a better one. But like if you were to compare profiles, you would put Collier and Ugarte as the more similar one than the other midfielders. Collier and Ugarte would be more similar than the other one. So this is taking away another option that's more of the semi, just physical battering ram type. And we need somebody who can at least bring that to the table as well. So certainly there is a little bit of a need for a midfielder. We might be a bit short here at this point. And they still sanctioned that loan and got it completed. So maybe we'll get somebody. Then there was this. And this is big. This is huge, in fact, I will tell you, because we need this. We need this to go through really badly. A Roma making a 20 million offer for Manchester United's Jadon Sancho. It's a deal that we will likely accept, not a problem. The biggest problem is this, is whether Sancho will take this move. Now, word is that he is open to the move, but he still has not agreed personal terms. And as I heard yesterday, and it's in the last thing I'll do here is my updates for the week that I've shared throughout videos throughout the week. There is still skepticism yesterday and into this morning as to whether he will agree terms with Roma that result in a permanent move. Now, he could still agree terms that would result in a season-long loan with some wages covered, and it's likely that at the very least that will happen, that they will get a loan of him, and then he will want to negotiate as a free agent. But United, it's going to put United in a difficult spot here again. I'm still not yet believing that Sancho will accept a permanent move. Now, if he did, and he accepted this permanent move, and we actually got an actual buy for him and all of that, it would be a massive boost to us financially in our pursuit of a midfielder here. But I remain concerned that Jadon Sancho will not agree to the personal terms for a full contract, and he hasn't agreed yet. So I guess we'll find out in the next hours and such, but there remains skepticism from corners of United as to whether he'll go through with that, simply because he hasn't so far gone through with it. Then there was further indications, fortunately, on this front, which is that Rasmus Hojlund's open to an AC Milan move after club held talks with his representatives. Now, I understood and reported that on Tuesday, his representatives and such had met with people from Milan to talk about this. He seems to be open. The deal between the clubs is close. There's other clubs interested, including perhaps Fulham. But, he seems open to Milan now. They seem at the front of the queue for the moment. Then there was this, and this was our first semi-negative piece of response to the Carlos Baleba thing. Like, look, everything's been negative, just mind you. Everything's been saying unlikely. Everyone's been saying difficult. Everything's been doing that. This one did say a little more specifically, more than 100 million, United unwilling to buy at that level. But at the same time, it said we weren't willing to pay at that price. And that was, I didn't write that off immediately because it was saying we were unwilling to buy at that price. Now, the true part of this is that for sure is that United need to raise money in order to pay at that price. The part we don't know, are they actually willing to make a bid of over 100 million to get a deal done? Because that's probably what it will take. And would Brighton even accept it at that point in time? We don't know. So this was a little bit of a negative story that came out a couple of days ago. But following that, it wasn't all negative. My information as of yesterday and the day before was that we had made our approach to Brighton. We were starting talks with them. We were assessing the situation and we were preparing to do some kind of bid, but we need to raise money. And then yesterday, we get this from Fabrizio Romano, basically saying the same. Manchester United keep working on the Carlos Baleba deal. Sales, Garnacho, Anthony, Sancho, could be key for higher bid. Higher bid meaning we're going to need to make a big bid in order to get this deal over the line. Initial approach to discuss with Brighton ready, deal difficult. Brighton want to keep and eventually sell in 2026. Carlos keen on the move. Now, what's important here is there's some on Instagram as well, and I want to clear up the language. What Romano is reporting is that it's not that we haven't actually spoken to them when he says approach. He's talking about actually making a real offer. Now, my understanding has been that we have had discussions with them, that there's been a little bit of like soft language about what about this kind of price, and the feedback has been high. We know now we're not going to be able to get a deal done probably for something like 80 million, 85 million. Now, we probably would have known that already, but it was still important to just check that out and not necessarily go in just too high right off the bat. We want to make sure that we get the best deal. Brighton, if they are to sell them, will hope we come in way high and they can even squeeze a bit more because they're always going to make us go up. But we've had that initial kind of contact and the initial feeling it out. And while we haven't got a price back, we do now believe, as far as I know, in more certainty that it's going to be in that 100 million to 100 million plus range potentially. So now we're kind of ready to make some kind of offer, which might be even a little bit below that, but we kind of know it's not going to be accepted, and we need more money to make a bid that has a reasonable chance of actually getting to the point of negotiation and acceptance. So the strategy is ongoing. It's ongoing. It's happening. What we need to do next is get these sales done. We need to then be able to make a bid that, or an offer, whatever, doesn't matter the language, that we think is acceptable. And then it needs to be at a level where we could feel comfortable with asking Baleba to say, I want you guys to accept this bid. So it's a work in progress. It's not dead and all of that. Then you get more on Jadon Sancho, and I see that. Thank you. Well, I'll talk about that. I'm not going to cover the luck curse report in the morning, but in this video and show it, but I do want to discuss it. Then there was this, and we could talk about this. AS Roma confident to get green light from United. All of that, blah, blah, blah. Camp directly and talks to Roma over salary. So again, the issue is not us. It is, will Sancho agree for the deal? Will he agree to the deal to actually join them this summer? We don't know. We don't know at this point in time whether he will. It is still an unknown. I know it's being talked about. I know it's being reported. I know there's stuff even right now saying, let's see. Let's pull this together. Let me pull this up. Breaking Roma. Here, I'll share this now. Roma officials have been in talks with Jadon Sancho's representatives with discussions centering on the terms of a contract in the club project. That's fine. But will he accept it, or will he get them to just do a loan so he can renegotiate with them on free agent terms and get a bonus from them and save them money on the purchase? He might screw us over in that way. It's wholly possible. So we're all going to have to wait and see how this plays out. We've not had an agreement between him and Roma yet to where we can say this deal is done. If it does happen and we get a loan with obligation and actually goes through, big time. That will help us so much. But until it happens, I remain skeptical with Jadon Sancho and how he acts. Then I just wanted to share this, that Toby Collier's completed his season-long loan. Chance he features at Wrexham tomorrow. So, yeah. And then this is my kind of, I just want to show then everything that I've covered over the last few days and put out in, one sec, guys. In my videos, this is where everything was at for me. Sancho to Roma, mostly dependent on personal terms. Still skepticism from a few areas to whether he'll agree terms that result in a permanent move. Now, yesterday I heard some progress on the Garnacho valuation gap between United and Chelsea as talks continue. The relationship between the two clubs is good. There's a lot of conversations been going on there. I think the gap is a little smaller. It's not there yet, but it is a little bit smaller than that initial 20 million. Rasmus has opened the door to a move. He's assessing his options, including different ones to Milan, but Milan are still at the front of discussions. Sales viewed as very necessary to the possibility of a deal for Baleba, as United have begun their approach to Brighton. They know a serious bid is needed and will have to present something the player can reasonably ask Brighton to accept, as he's very interested in the move. So that's kind of the situation as of now. Now, there was a report overnight from Sam Luckhurst that, United were prepared to go back in another year, and the move is felt as unlikely and blah, 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 but which is fine. But we've heard it all before. We know that the deal is unlikely. The deal is difficult. The deal is expensive, but we're still trying. We have not pulled out as of yet. We have not ended our attempt as of this moment in time. Could we end our attempt? Yes. Could Brighton put in a full hands off to us? Yes. The longer that we go, the tougher this is going to get. I don't think we're going to get anything of substance over the weekend with everybody focused on the Premier League opening, on their games, on their matches. Nobody's going to want to be distracted. No players are going to be engaging in those conversations like Baleba. I mean, like Garnacho probably will, and maybe Hojlund, and Sancho, because they're not playing. But on the other end, they're not going to be really engaging. Come early next week, we need these sales out, and we need progress fast on the Baleba thing, or I think we will end up in a hands-off situation So I think we're entering the crunch time where we will very, very likely need to see serious progress within days now. We will need to see that within days now in order to make this happen. We need these sales to go through, hopefully on the sales front, something today, tomorrow, Sunday for these things getting done. And then early next week, we'll have to throw that big bid in for Baleba and try to get it done. I think if we don't have it by Wednesday next week, it's over, because I don't think it'll be an end of window thing. I think it's going to have to be with enough time where they have the money to go buy somebody else they want to bring in. I mean, they probably have names lined up and all of that, but still, once the season kicks off in August, doing deals with clubs where they have players who are part of the squad and are not kicked out like ours, really hard to do between Thursday and Sunday. So have to keep that in mind as well. Whether we will move to alternate targets is a total unknown at this point in time. Obviously, we would technically have the ability to do so, but the feeling might have been Baleba is an opportunity to do now, hence moving it a year forward from next year, where it's more likely they'll do it next year. So we have it. It's not over. It's not over yet. It's not done yet. Nothing's even actually gone wrong on the deal. Everything's moving essentially in the way that it should on this. That doesn't mean it's close. That doesn't mean it's nearly happening. That doesn't mean that the deal is there. United have to go up 20, 30 million from their initial kind of discussions to think about getting a deal done here. They know that. It's going to take a serious bid. They need the money in order to make a bid big enough to get the deal done. And they need to do it quick. So we're getting into crunch time. We need sales. And that's the biggest thing I would leave you with on this Friday news stream. Roundup, these sales we've talked about and looked at the stories of every single one of them through the week. We need 2 of them to go through pretty bad, really, really bad, and soon. So that's the thing that we have to do. If we can get Sancho done, that's going to help us a lot. If Garnacho gets done, that's going to help us a lot. If Rasmus gets done, it's going to help us a lot. So they don't have to be like fully complete, but they need to be within sight, like certain that we can do it. If we're certain that the sales are happening, then I think we will make a bid. So let's see what happens. I think we're not certain yet of Sancho or Rasmus or Garnacho. I think we're certain we will sell Garnacho, but not for how much yet. And I think it's one of the others we're going to need to be certain of before we can make a move. Okay, that's what I have for today's news roundup. Thank you for watching. I'll be live later on this afternoon to do the weekly vote for the team, the first one of the Premier League season. So make sure to come catch up on that. And obviously any news and things will be covered at that time as well. And what I wanted to add was I'm going to be adding to that weekly vote thing where moving forward, each week we're actually going to compare what you voted for, what I wanted, what Amarim picked, the result, and then vote again. And then on Sunday, we will do the watch along for the game. I'll have videos on Saturdays, things like that as well. So thank you all for hanging out today. Appreciate you. If you're watching over on Big Up, thank you so much. And for those of you on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications on. Come join us on Big Up for watch alongs and other content throughout the season. Thank you all.